What's going on, you guys? Laxo here again. Alright guys, so I figured that today would be a good time to go ahead and pick up where I left off, going over the characters in the order in which they were released. And next on that list, I have Tōshirō, Bankai Tōshirō, actually. So, just a quick reminder here, guys. If you guys would like to skip around to any part in the video, I have the chapters in the description below, so feel free to skip ahead, go back to wherever you'd like. And in this video, I'll pretty much just be going over his kit. I will be going over how he performs in 6v6, 1v1. I'll be going over some Warsouls, of course. And I will be pretty much just giving him grades of how I think he performs in 6v6, 1v1. And of course, what I think of his skills based on the canon. So we'll go ahead and go over all those things in this video here. Alright, let's go ahead and start off here with the skills. Let's go ahead and go over his skills. Alright, so the Rising Dragon Strike. His master skill deals damage to an enemy, inflicts 60% extra damage to defense specialty character, and creates a shield to absorb damage equal to 10% of his max HP. So early game, they definitely went with the dealing extra damage to units that you already counter, so it is good. Early game, you get that extra burst damage, but unfortunately, the burst damage just isn't quite as much as you'd think it is, and unfortunately, he doesn't get the freeze on his mastery skill. One thing you really like is freeze on mastery skill, especially with freeze type units. But nonetheless, that extra shield is kind of nice. It makes him a little bit more tanky, but not that much. With that being said, let's go ahead and check out his rage here. Awakened Hyoten Kyakaso. So, here is his rage skill. It deals damage to all enemies, reduces target's crit chance by 20%, and critical hit damage by 20%, and of course, grants that 25% chance to inflict freeze on targets for 1 round. So, the reduces crit chance and crit hit damage is actually really good, especially if you're going up against a big bursty team with really high crit chance, and of course if you're using him in later servers, or I'm sorry, the really early servers where everybody's crit chance is just really high. So not bad at all. Really good rage skill, and of course that freeze chance. I have actually done a ton of, I've done I think 100 tries at freeze, and the final percentage I came up with was about 34% roughly, and that is of course with the shattering Warsoul and the weapon. Without the Warsoul and without the weapon, it goes down quite a bit. So with the Warsoul shattering and a weapon, it is pretty good, around 30 to 35%. My number tells me exactly 34%. So, great rage skill. Alright, the Frozen Katana passive. Deals more damage to frozen enemies. Whenever allies deal critical attack, gain a shield equal to 25% of his attack. So, this one I think is, I'm actually not sure, because sometimes I get that shield and sometimes I don't. However, 25% of his attack is not very much. And especially when you're trying to get the shield to make him more tanky, maybe you have him in the front row and you're trying to make him be a tank. Unfortunately, that shield isn't very much. That 25% of his attack is so low, especially since he's one of the first characters released. It's almost non-existent. Maybe you can get a shield if he crits like 3 to 5% of his attack, or of his HP. Not very impressive whatsoever. Obviously, the shield you get from his mastery skill is much better. So, unfortunately, the passive skill, pretty much non-existent. What they should have done is they should have made it 100% of his attack, or maybe 150% of his attack, or something like that, to actually give him a decent shield. But nonetheless, fortunately, his passive skill is terrible. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to Warsouls here. Alright, so I have on the Warsoul of Shattering here. Let's see here. It pretty much increases his effect accuracy and his effect strength. And the reason why we're going with that is, of course, the rage skill. You want him to have that really high freeze chance. And with that Warsoul on him, I have about a 50% effect accuracy, which is actually really, really good. Having that really high effect accuracy will improve his freeze chance quite a bit. So that is what I've liked to use on him. And with that Warsoul, once again, I had about 34% freeze chance, which is usually around 2 of the units on average will be frozen every time. Let's see here. On my list, I have a bunch of zeros and a bunch of 3s and 2s. So unfortunately, the freeze chance is kind of finicky sometimes, because sometimes you feel really good. You know, you freeze 3, 4, 5 of the units, and sometimes you just freeze 0 over and over and over. And then sometimes you freeze 5, and unfortunately, it's not super dependable, especially on the early units and freeze. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out some other Warsouls we can use on him. Once again, if you're trying to make him more of a damage dealer so you can get some more crits off, then I suggest Warsoul of Wrath. You know, you have that extra 18% crit chance, so that is pretty good. And then once again, going with damage, you want to get that Warsoul of Crit on there so you can get those crit procs off and get him that shield. Pretty good as well. Another Warsoul you can use here is where is it here? You can use Warsoul of Armor. You can get that extra block chance, 18%, and the damage reduction. You can get an extra 20% damage reduction, which is actually pretty good, especially if you're trying to use him as a front row tank. Unfortunately, that is all the Warsouls I really suggest using on him. However, the character Warsouls, you do have several options for the character Warsouls. If you're going for the CC, then a good Warsoul to use is Chad's Warsoul, the Warsoul of Evil. You can get that extra stuns. You can get those extra stuns off, which is pretty good, especially since he has a really high proc chance. So not bad to have the Warsoul of Evil on there. And if you're trying to go for the controlling the battlefield, if you're trying to go for the controlling the battlefield, you can also go with Pacifism, which lowers the rage of the enemy team. So that's pretty good as well. And of course, if you're going with the tank, then Warsoul of Temper is a good option as well. You can get that extra block chance, which is pretty good. And if you just want to go with him as a support unit, then you could go with Warsouls such as Healing. That's not bad. You can go with the Warsoul of the Tides. That's not bad. And of course, you can go with the Warsouls like the Warsoul of Soaring, and you get that extra damage rate for the team. Another good Warsoul you can use on him that I actually don't have is the Prayer Warsoul. This, once again, increases effect accuracy of the entire team. So this is pretty good as well. You can increase his effect accuracy even higher and maybe get some extra freezes off that way as well. So unfortunately, those are really all the Warsouls I really suggest using on him. For his main Warsoul, all you have to do is really get this to 4-star to actually get him to rage first round. And of course, the Heroic Warsoul, that 3% HP for all characters, is actually really, really important. Early game, not so much, but as you progress to the later game, you really want to get that 5-star Heroic Warsoul. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the team comp I will be running with him here, just in a couple 6v6 battles here. I went ahead and threw him in this team comp here. Pretty much, once again, the only team comp I really run him in is either the All Freeze team comp / or the Ichigo, the White Ichigo Rage Loop team comp. It's pretty good. It works a pretty good amount of the time if you can get those freeze off. And of course, I wanted to have a Soul Haul in there, so I went ahead and tossed on these characters as well. Actually, I'm sorry, this is just for the actual freeze team to get the rage loop. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and run a couple 6v6 battles here and see how it runs. Alright, so as you can see, I have Tōshirō going off first. He's going to get one guaranteed freeze in the back row. And then I have Bankai Tōshirō going off, and he will get the crit chance reduced, the crit damage reduced. Rukia goes off, get the attack reduced, and then of course Tōshirō goes off, he gets the block chance and crit chance reduced as well. And then, since I have 5 characters frozen, I get that nice rage loop from White Ichigo. Unfortunately, these characters are not leveled up super duper high, so I don't do a ton of damage, but nonetheless, you see pretty much how this team works. And also, on the same battle here, as you can see, the shield I have on Tōshirō really isn't that much at all. And he actually did get his combo off, his mastery skill, so he did get that 10% of his actual health, as you can see right there, as shield. So, that does help him out a little bit as far as tankiness goes in the front row, but I wouldn't really highly depend on him as a good tank. Alright. Let's see here, next round he gets 2 freezes, so that's pretty good. Here I got 3, I'm looking for one more freeze to get another combo off here. Unfortunately I only got 4, so I will not be getting the rage loop again. But nonetheless, as you can see, this is pretty much how the team works. It reduces all the rage, it reduces the attack, it reduces block chance of the enemy team. It actually works pretty well. Alright, let's go ahead and check out one more battle here. Alright, let's see how this goes here. So once again, I have Tōshirō going off first round, getting that guaranteed freeze in the back row. He's not really a staple, you don't have to have him in there, but it is nice to have a guaranteed freeze in there in the back row. So again, Tōshirō going off, looks like I got 2 freezes there. Rukia goes off, I get another freeze, and I'm not sure if I get a freeze for this one or not. Let's see, I don't need a freeze, but... So I'm not going to get that 6th unit frozen, but I do have 5 now, so I get, once again, that rage loop of Ichigo to go off. And if you had these characters actually leveled up, then it would actually be really good. You could most likely win the battle. Alright, let's go ahead and move on here. Alright, moving on back to his kit here. Unfortunately, I do not have any 1v1 battles available, so I cannot show you guys any 1v1 battles, but we can just go over them really quickly here. So, unfortunately, once again, in the mastery skill, he does not inflict that freeze, so he doesn't get too much other than maybe just a shield from his freeze, and his rage skill has a pretty good chance of getting that freeze, and it does lower the crit chance and crit damage of the enemy, but that's only going to go off once every couple rounds, so it doesn't really help out too much. And the actual Frozen Katana skill, once again, I'm sure you guys saw as I was pointing out that when he did get that crit off, he got maybe 2% of his health and shield. The big thing you get is the actual 10% health shield here on his mastery skill, but unfortunately this passive skill, it's basically useless. It really doesn't do much. You have to get a lot of freezes to actually have it work, and it says right here, whenever allies deal critical attacks, gain a shield equal to 25% of his attack. Unfortunately, that is broken as well, because as you saw everyone else getting crits, he wasn't getting either a shield to begin with, or he wasn't having his shield grow at all. So, once again, passive is kind of broken, so not very good at all in 1v1s. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to grades here. Okay, so let's go over 6v6 first. So 6v6, I actually do like him. He is pretty good. The master skill, it doesn't really do much in 6v6. What you really are using him for is the actual rage skill. Maybe you want to use him as a front row defender and you want to put on those tanky Warsouls. Then yeah, you know, his mastery skill could help out a lot. But once again, the rage skill is what you're looking for here because it does the crit chance, crit damage reduction, and the big one is the freezes. Once again, passive is broken, so doesn't really do anything. And the funny thing is, this character's been out for so long, and the passive is kind of broken. So, anyways, moving on from that, the final grade I'll go ahead and give him for 6v6 is, I think, you know, he is pretty helpful. Unfortunately, on the early servers, let's see here, he is actually out on day 47, 48, and 49 of all new servers. So early on, if you can get him, he actually will help you out a little bit, especially if you can get, you know, his weapon at 5-star. But I really wouldn't suggest doing that because there are so many other good characters that you can get, especially in the new servers. You're really just hunting for those event characters that come out because those are the really big characters you want to get when you're brand new to this game. So most likely Tōshirō is probably a 2 or 3-star character. You don't really want to do much with him. Getting him to 5-star and getting his weapon, it would help you out a little bit. It's not bad, but there are just so many other better characters that you can use resources on that I wouldn't really suggest doing it. In the finally giving him his grade though, I'd probably give him maybe a B+, an A-, somewhere around there. He's actually pretty good. He does help out teams quite a bit. He does offer quite a bit as far as help in the team. So yeah, I'll go ahead and give him an A-, B+, somewhere around there. I think that's probably where he deserves to be. However, in the 1v1, unfortunately, he doesn't really do anything at all in 1v1. He really doesn't do anything. I'm really trying to think here. I'd probably give him a D+. At best, maybe a C-, somewhere around there. I'd probably drop him in 1v1. Once again, a character you probably don't ever want to use in 1v1s. I'm sure there are better SSR characters that you could use in 1v1s, like base Tōshirō, for example. He is better in 1v1s than Bankai Tōshirō. So, fortunately, terrible in 1v1s, pretty good to great in 6v6. All right, and going over the bonus here is, what do I think of as far as his kit is displayed as compared to the canon of his character? So, this is kind of a tough one here because I believe they have two different timelines mixed up here. So in this timeline variation, I believe we're getting his Bankai form because he went in Bankai form during the entire run-in he had with Aizen at Central 46 when Aizen killed everybody at Central 46 and Tōshirō came in and he was really upset. Bankai, of course, and then Aizen pretty much one-shot him. So that is, I think, is where he is supposed to come from because he's one of the first Bankais we actually see in the actual anime. So I do think he is placed right. However, the rage skill here, Kyoten Kyakaso, I don't know. I'm kind of confused here because he uses this against Hallibel, I believe, and not in the little run-in he had with Aizen. So I'm kind of confused on the actual timelines. I think they got two different timelines mixed up here. Or maybe they just wanted to do Bankai Tōshirō in general, which honestly I wouldn't have really suggested that because they could have got two different characters out of him. But I guess they kind of did either way because base Tōshirō and Bankai Tōshirō. So I'm going to have to go with maybe, how do I feel? Probably a B. I think I kind of like it because they took his entire Bankai in general and put it together. So you got the Rising Dragon Strike, of course, where he uses this against Aizen, gets that really, really nice freeze off, fails miserably, unfortunately. And then, of course, you get his actual, I want to call this his main ability in Bankai, because he really uses this as a finisher. Let's hear if I can pull up the quote here. Let's hear. Hyoten Hyakaso. All that is touched by the snow will instantly freeze like a flower, and all 100 flowers have bloomed. Your life will have come to an end. And then, of course, at that point, Halle Bell is completely covered in ice, and she is frozen for, well, a small amount of time until she breaks out. But nonetheless, I actually do like it, and I think that's a pretty good grade for it. Alrighty then, guys, and with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my overview, my deep dive analysis of Tōshirō, Bankai Tōshirō. Let's hear. Next, I believe I have White Ichigo actually coming up in the series, so look out for the next video where I'm going to be going over White Ichigo. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I will be working on it nonetheless. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy it, feel free to drop a like, feel free to drop a sub, I would appreciate it. If you guys haven't already subscribed, once again, feel free to subscribe. And just another friendly reminder, guys, I will be doing a giveaway at 1,000 subs. I will be doing a couple giveaways. So, also, on that note, I actually just made a Discord channel. Probably finished it maybe an hour or so ago, a couple hours ago. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the description below on my Discord as well. Feel free to join my Discord. Have any questions, comments, concerns, you can hit me up there or in the comment section of this video, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And of course, guys, as per usual, I'll catch you guys in the next one.